You think that you've been dieting your whole life, but in between all the diets you've done, you're eating in a surplus. So you're truly not you're truly not in a deficit. Like you are, I mean, let's just be real. Like if you're significantly overweight, like you haven't been eating in a deficit. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Melissa and this is, see, it's really funny because in my head now from all of our YouTube videos, when I say I'm Melissa and this is Jessica, I hear like the ding.
Do you?
The ding and the ding.
You know what? I hate to admit this. I rarely watch our YouTube videos back. I don't know why. I feel like it's the same thing with podcasts though. I feel like once it's gone, I'm just like, I don't want to hear what we said.
I don't listen to our podcast, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But then I listened to our podcast the other day when I was walking. I was like, that was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, oh yeah. I listened to one and I was like cringing at first and I was like, well, wait, hang on a second. I have a good podcasting voice and like, we're funny.
Yeah. I realized that I do this really weird laugh and I have like kind of a raspy voice.
Yeah.
That's like kind of low key and I always sound like I'm about to crack up. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know how to stop it.
I think it's just your voice.
Yeah, I can't help it.
It's okay.
Okay.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Melissa. That's not when it dings.
Oh.
I'm Melissa.
Ding.
And this is Jeff.
Sorry, start over.
I'm Melissa.
No, welcome back to the channel.
Oh. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Melissa, and this is Jessica. And today we're going to talk about why you can't seem to lose weight even though you're under eating and you feel like you've been dieting forever. Before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment on this video if this resonates with you at all, and you have the chance to win a $25 gift card.
Let's dive in. You are someone who has been dieting for years. Whenever we get on the phone, you're like, I barely eat. Can't even be eating more than 1,000 calories a day, but yet I'm significantly overweight and I don't understand why. This might be a little bit reductionistic, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna break it into like kind of 3 camps as to why this might be the case. There might be a bunch of other reasons, but we're gonna touch on the top 3 most common ones that we hear in this video. One of the most common things that we hear from women, they say, well, I barely eat it all throughout the day. I wake up, I don't eat breakfast. Maybe I make myself a protein shake and then I work all day. I don't have time to eat lunch. And then by the time I get home, I'm so starving. So I grab a couple of quick snacks. I make dinner, I eat dinner, I have some snacks after dinner, and then I go to sleep. But I barely ate all day, so there's no way that I can be eating that many calories.
It's like, well, I just really eat dinner, so I don't understand how I'm not losing weight.
Chances are that because you don't eat throughout the day, you have in your head, well, I'm starving, I barely ate, so this gives me free reign to just kind of eat whatever I want at night. So most of the time, and we all have been there, when you're hangry and you're stressed and you're emotional and you just want to relax, one of the first things that you're going to go for is going to be quick, easy, instant gratification. So you want to think
comfort too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like a bag of chips or the cookies or something that's like sweet, salty, savory, something that's going to give you that immediate like dopamine hit that tasted really good. Okay, now I'm kind of like, I'm all right, right?
Yeah.
And then from there we go into dinner, and maybe you don't really have control over dinner, or maybe you're making dinners to suit your family and they're not the most healthy or nutritious. There's definitely the chance that you can be eating upwards of 2,000 calories, maybe even 3,000 from the time you walk in the door from work to the time you go to sleep.
Easy. Like we had one client, this always reminds me of her. It was one of our first clients, and she came to us and she was like, well, I don't eat during the day. I literally have no time to eat during the day. And so the only thing that I eat is dinner. And I can't lose weight. And I was like, okay, so like, what do you typically have for dinner? And she's like, well, just like nothing really. I don't know, just like meat and potatoes and vegetables. I'm like, okay, well, like tell me what you had for dinner last night. And she was like, I think it was like beef stew. And I was like, okay, what else did you have with dinner? She's like, well, I had some rolls with like butter on it. I was like, okay, is there anything else? She's like, well, I had beer. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, how many servings of it did you have? Well, like, I just kind of ate because I was hungry because I don't eat all day. I probably had like 3 or 4 rolls with butter on it. And then like me and my husband like to have beer on the porch after dinner. I'm like, okay. Like we added everything up and she was like over 3,000 calories.
Within a 3 or 4 hour window.
And she's sitting here thinking, and like it was like, she was just like
oh
you know, the
God,
matrix of like, oh my God, like I can't even like understand that, because for so long she was just like, well, because I don't eat and the only meal that I eat is dinner, there's no possible way that I could gain weight from that, but you so easily can.
I mean, the thing is that we have to remember is, again, being really reductionistic, at the end of the day, weight gain is going to come down to calories in versus calories out. And again, I know people are going to come at me for that. I know it's not that simple. However, if you are gaining weight, then you are eating more calories than your body needs to maintain its current state, right? And it's very possible, if you have no sense of how much you're eating or the nutritional value of the food that you're eating, you can totally blow through a very high number of calories in a short period of time. I think, you know, a good example of this too, I remember a client who told me the same thing, and we were kind of going through everything she eats. Like, I come home, I sit down on the couch with a bag of chips, right? And I have a Coke because it's just one of those things, like, I look forward to it every day. So I sit down with Coke and a bag of chips. And then I'm making dinner, and I usually sit there and like pick on different things like crackers, maybe some cheese while I'm, you know, making dinner, or some salsa, and Tostitos while I'm making dinner. The other day, like, I was sitting there like hand to mouth out of the bag of cheese, like while I'm preparing dinner. And then she sat down and she's like, well, you know, same thing, same type of thing, right? Like, I had a casserole for dinner, like it wasn't that bad. What kind of casserole? Well, it was a jalapeno popper casserole. I'm like, okay, well, what's in that? She's like, cream cheese and this, and I'm like, girl, that's a heavy calorie meal. If you're someone who you think that, well, I don't eat all day, so then it's totally fine to eat at night, and it can't be that's putting me overweight or making me gain weight, I would say start weighing, logging, and tracking your food, measuring everything from the time you get home to the time you go to sleep, and see how quickly it adds up.
I'm just gonna say this, I feel like, because I would do this too in the past, is I feel like people who do that, who like don't really eat and then almost kind of are like, well, it doesn't matter, I can eat whatever I want because I didn't eat today. Like, you are the kind of person who likes to bury your head in the sand and almost just kind of like, I'm not even gonna log it in my fitness pal because I don't want to know. And so you're almost sitting there kind of like lying to yourself of like, it's fine, it's not that much, like it's just a rule, I didn't eat today. But like deep down you probably know, like, this has got to be like a decent amount of calories, right?
Yeah, I did this to myself the other day. I was outside all day Saturday doing yard work. I was exhausted, I was tired, I did not eat all day, and if you know me, I'm not friendly when I don't eat. And I got in, we had no food in the house, and I'm like, we'd have some frozen pizza, I'm just gonna make some frozen pizza. But while I was waiting for the frozen pizza, I'm like, I need to have something right now. So bag of chips was open, and I'm like, okay, eating some chips, and I'm like, fuck, I should just weigh it out. I weighed out my chips, and then same thing, I'm like, I had 3 pieces of pizza, and at the end of the day, I'm like, well, it couldn't have been that much because I didn't eat all day. Going back into the same mindset when I know better. After I weighed, logged, and tracked everything that I ate, I was around 1,200 calories within 2 hours. Like, insane. Right? And so you can imagine if you're doing that and then you're having dessert afterwards, like, this can add up very, very quickly. Scenario number 2, similar situation. You're someone that you are so buttoned up during the week, you eat clean, you stick within your 1,200 calories during the week, you're like, I don't touch a carb, and I don't eat sugar, and I don't do anything, and then the weekend rolls around, and you're going out to dinner, and you are, you know, day drinking with 6 drinks in, and
this was us.
Oh yeah,
like, this was the whole reason why we didn't lose weight. And we had been like working out and dieting for like our entire life. And this is how we operated, and it truly was like Monday through Friday, barely ate, and then the weekend we're like, jeans fit better on Friday, let's go out, have fun,
celebrate,
be social, celebrate,
good,
you feel good going to dinner, and then Monday morning comes and you have to get dressed to go to work, and you're like, what the fuck did I do? Like, why did I do that?
And it's just this cycle that just keeps happening and happening and happening, to the point where I remember like colleagues would want to go out, you know, for a work lunch, and I'd be like, no, I can't because I'm being good. Or, you know, people get like fun foods to the break room or happy hour, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go do any of that because I'm being good. Then the weekend comes and you would totally blow everything.
And this scenario is probably one of the most important scenarios because so many of you have been dieting for your entire life. When you really zoom out and you look at the amount of time that you've spent in a calorie deficit, you are probably in a surplus for the majority of the time, or for the time that like you're in the surplus, you're overdoing it so much that it has like almost like kind of counted as double the amount of time that you've been in a surplus versus the days that you've been in a deficit. You think that you've been dieting your whole life, but in between all the diets you've done, you're eating in a surplus. So you're truly not you're truly not in a deficit.
Yeah.
Like you are, I mean, let's just be real. Like if you're significantly overweight, like you haven't been eating in a deficit.
Right.
It's impossible.
I think that's what you said. We need to zoom out and stop looking at it as, well, like, I was really good for the last 3 weeks. Let's zoom out, like, for the last 3 years and look at the phases. Like, I was really good for 3 weeks, but then I couldn't hack it anymore. Like, I got sick of what I was doing. So then I went on a total binge sesh for the last 6 weeks. And then I realized, shit, I gained weight. I need to go back to being really restrictive. So then I did that for 6 weeks, and then I binged for another 8. Like, we need to look at the yo-yo.
The problem is because the dieting portion of your life is so restrictive, and you suffer through it so much. Like that's the part that sticks out to you, and that's why you say, I'm always on a diet, but I'm not losing weight. But when you really break it down, like, you're not always on a diet because you wouldn't be really overweight if you were.
Yeah. And that's really hard to hear. And I remember the first time that my coach said that to me, right? And I was like, you're joking because I eat so clean. I remember my roommate one time telling me, like, you are the cleanest eater I've ever met in my entire life. And I remember telling her, like, I was struggling with my weight, and she's like, I don't understand how, because you eat way less than I do, and everything you eat is so clean. But it was that cycle of being super clean during the week, and then on the weekend, let's go out for drinks and sit there and have, 4, 5, 6 drinks over the course of the day, right? And then go out to dinner. And a restaurant meal, guys, like, if you're not trying to find something that's lean and healthy and calorie friendly, you can easily spend 4,000 or 5,000 calories.
Between the appetizers, the drinks, the dinner, like all the oil that it's cooked in, dessert, like
bread,
5,000 calories, easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yep. And so it's those things that add up really quickly. And then you think about, like, your Sunday fun day. Let's wake up and go to brunch, and then we're gonna go have a couple drinks after brunch, and then maybe we, like, go out for chips and guac for lunch, and then we come home and order a pizza because we don't want to cook, or it's football season, we want to grab wings.
Yeah, or even like purely just the, like, I'm exhausted, like I'm so burnt out from dieting, like I'm just gonna, like, take this next, like, this week and just, like, enjoy myself, whatever, and I'll start next week, or I'll start in, like, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Like, that is the reason why it feels like you've been dieting all your life and you are, like, bigger.
So in those 3 scenarios, that's really where we have to, like, have that hard look in the mirror and say, am I really in a calorie deficit, like, 7 days of the week over extended periods of time? If I'm not, where might I be eating in a calorie surplus? And where can I start to, like, minimize that gap or make things a little bit more even? That way I don't feel like I have to be so restrictive during the day or so restrictive during the week, and then I blow it all when I get home from work, or I blow it all on the weekends, right? The more moderate we can be, the more consistent you'll be able to be.
And I think, like, point 1 and point 2 are really about awareness. Like, you have to be real with yourself because, like, you didn't get here for no reason. Like, it didn't just happen out of the blue. Like, it happened over a period of time. And so either, like, you're burying your head in the sand and, like, you're not truly, like, being truthful with yourself. Like, you're not logging and tracking things. It's really hard to do. I think it really does come down to, like, just start tracking. Like, even if you don't want to, like, fully diet, just, like, start to, like, track every single thing that you're eating and see how you're naturally eating, how many calories you're eating. And then if you're overeating, great. Now we just kind of bring calories down a little bit. Now you're in a deficit. And you'll start to lose weight.
It's just data collection. Like, let's start to look at it like that, as awareness and data collection. You can't make a change if you don't know, like, what you're doing, if you don't know what your behaviors are adding up to, right? So just collect the data, and then from there, you can figure out what you need to do. So I think those, like, 3 different things that we talked about, those are all those instances where we're really not in a calorie deficit as much as we think we are. There is another camp, though, and I want to touch on it briefly, is that you could be somebody who is chronically under eating, and you have gotten yourself to a place where your metabolism is completely downregulated, and it's moved from a place where it processes and it burns off calories, like, really efficiently. It burns off a high number of calories every day. And over years of true chronic dieting, where you are truly in a deficit for extended periods of time, running your metabolism into the ground, then yes, eventually as your metabolism downregulates, it's going to burn fewer and fewer calories. It's going to become way less efficient. And so if that's the case, let's say your metabolism's in a place where it can only really support, like, 1,500 calories as your new maintenance level calories. Well, sure, every time you try to eat like a human.
Let's do it more drastic, because I think most dieters as women are, like, at 1,200 calories. So, like, let's say your metabolism, like your base point is burning off 1,200 calories a day.
Sure.
This is why you feel like anytime I eat over 1,200 calories, I gain weight. And that's also why so many women think I have to eat 1,200 calories or less to lose weight. But it could very well be that your metabolism has down-regulated to this new set point of I burn calories at 1,200 calories a day. And so anytime that you're eating over that, you're gaining weight. But like that's why it truly is, because your metabolism has adapted to those low level of calories.
Right. So in this case, you truly might be someone where you're like, I barely eat and I'm still gaining weight, because eating 1,500 calories, that's not hard to do. Like, it's a very small amount of food. But if your metabolism is only burning 1,200 during the day, then that extra 300 is technically a surplus for you at 1,500 calories. This is where that whole metabolic repair phase is super important, to start to upregulate your metabolism, get it back to a place where it is effectively and efficiently processing calories. It's not storing body fat, it's rather burning, those calories off as energy, as fuel, as it's intended to do. That's a very different story than what we were talking about in the beginning of the video. And if you are someone who thinks that your metabolism might be severely downregulated because you truly have been eating in a deficit for so long, you truly have been chronically dieting for so long, then you might want to check out our legacy program, because inside we walk you step by step through exactly what you need to do to start to repair your metabolism. You'll start with an assessment of, do I even need a metabolic repair phase? And if you do, then you'll move directly into that next phase of what you need to do in order to start to speed it back up, upregulate it, to be able to finally eat like a human again.
And see efficient fat loss. So if this was helpful for you, make sure to give us a comment below if you have any questions at all about you're really not sure, which one of the 3 camps that you fit into. Just give us a comment below. We'll reach out to you and make sure that we help you get on the right track.